My boyfriend found out I'm rich and started using it against me. My boyfriend and I met through a dating app 8 months ago, and we've had a good, steady relationship. I come from a well-off family, but my parents never spoiled me. They taught me to not indulge in excess and to keep my privilege in mind when interacting with people. I'm currently living in an apartment with only my salary. I haven't told my boyfriend about my wealth. I wasn't actively hiding it. It just didn't come up. My birthday was a few weeks ago, and my parents threw a party at our home. Our home is a medium-sized villa. My boyfriend started scowling when I told him that that was the home that I grew up in. When I asked him about it, he told me it was nothing and started smiling again. His mood got worse as more and more of my parents' rich friends started coming in. When I asked him about it the next day, he just told me that he was feeling a little sick. After we got back, he asked me why I hid the fact that I was rich. I told him that I wasn't hiding it, but he started bringing it up in every conversation after that, like telling me that I didn't know how to cook properly because I was spoiled. He brought it up with his friends, telling them that I was a spoiled princess who had everything handed to me. It started as jokes, but it got more hostile as the days went on. When I brought this up, he told me I didn't know normal people problems because I was rich. Did I do something wrong? What should I do? And now in the comments, 3 words. Only 8 months. He is 26 years old and acting like a teenage asshole. Don't waste your time on this guy. Heads up, if you decide to dump him, he might tell people because he was too poor for you. If you got any of these rude jokes on text, I would save them. He will definitely tell people that's the reason, but if they don't have any mutuals, I honestly wouldn't even worry about what he says in the end. Just dump him and move on. Well, technically, you're not rich. Your parents are. Did he discuss his parents' income with you when you started dating? Drop that man-child though. He doesn't get to dismiss your feelings now due to his own assumptions. Not only that, but he's actively insulting her. Relationships can survive many things, but they cannot survive contempt. What she describes is contempt. You didn't do anything wrong. You can't change where you came from, and if he didn't clock that you had a wealthy upbringing for 8 months, then he's either incredibly stupid, or you clearly aren't a spoiled princess in the least. Honestly, I think there comes a point where you have to ask yourself if you could unsee this side of him. He's brought it up with his friends, insulted you to your face, and dismissed your objections. None of that is acceptable. And do you really want to continue being in a relationship with someone who constantly puts you down for something out of your control? That'll be £50. Dump him. I've had stuff in my fridge longer than you've had this boyfriend. You barely know the dude, and he is now showing you what he really is like. If he's an asshole this quickly, imagine what he'll be like middle-aged and downtrodden. And now, onto the update. After I made the Reddit post, I tried to have a conversation with him, but he kept stonewalling me. He made more snide comments, and I decided to break up. When I told him that I was leaving him, it felt like he was expecting it. He called me a rich cow, and went on a rant about how I was leaving him because he was poor. Some commenters told me to expect this, but it still came as a shock. He and I have very good salaries, and I don't know why he said that. He was a good person most of the time that I knew him. Some people ask me why I didn't warn him about my wealth. All my relationships before him were with people in my social class, so the expectation of wealth was implicit. Having wealth was not a big deal in any of my previous relationships, so I assumed it was the same in this one too. I'll warn my partners before taking them home in my future relationships. This is a tangent, but I wanted to talk about the "I'm not rich, my parents are" thing that many commenters suggested. A lot of my friends from wealthy families use that line as a defense, but it's misleading. If I wanted to, I could dip into my parents' finances. I choose not to, but it is still my wealth too. It might technically be my parents' money, but it still makes me wealthy. And having wealthy parents comes with a lot of privileges, even if I don't actively use their money. I never had to work a job when I was studying, I had access to the best schooling, I don't have student loans, and my parents' connections open a lot of doors. Having a safety net let me find what I was good at and let me take risks. So unless they are estranged from their families, children from wealthy families are also wealthy. I thank all the people who commented on my original post and gave me advice. I felt like I was doing something wrong, but you made me see that it was his insecurity and jealousy that was the issue. And now in the comments, excellent point. A lot of people don't understand how big of a deal this is. Even if you're not taking risks, just knowing that if you get laid off, get injured, have your house burned down or whatever, just knowing that you have a safe place to go and money to get you back on your feet can be a huge stress relief. I'm glad that OP recognizes and appreciates what she has. Everything she said is true. Boyfriend is a jerk and you are well rid of him. Yeah, OP seems to be one of the most well-adjusted rich people I've seen or interacted with, both with how she presents herself and how she understands and recognizes what she's got, as well as the advantages it has given her. Kudos for that for real. Unfortunately, her ex couldn't appreciate it at all. There is also the whole point of generational wealth. Although this is currently her parents' money, it'll eventually be hers. I was reading an article that shows the richest families in Florence, Italy, today are the same ones from the 15 to 1600s. You sound like you have a good head on your shoulders, OP. I'm sorry he pulled the "because I'm poor" card, but you know that it isn't true, and don't internalize it. You broke up with him because he was acting like an asshole. As a dude who was poor as F and married himself a very wealthy doctor lady, your dude sucked. You did the right thing. My wife has never made me feel bad about not having money when we dated. She let me take her on cheap dates that I could afford when I wanted to treat her to something. He was an insecure ass. I found my wife's drive and passion to be successful very sexy. She's a strong, independent woman, and I find that very, very attractive. It's never been an issue in our relationship. Her support and love got me from selling fire extinguishers to being the director of sales for my province in a countrywide digital marketing firm. All because she helped me see that I had something to offer. My insecurity wasn't based on her money, it was on me being a single father from a cheating wife and just feeling worthless in my parents' basement. She found very endearing what I sacrificed in pride to be a proper father and try to get back on my feet. She also has very rich parents, and again, none of them treated me as less than, and they all knew that I had nothing. When I moved in with my wife, I had all the stuff that I bought my kid. One backpack of clothes for myself, and a PlayStation 4. That's it. I owned nothing but a console and enough clothes for 5 days, and then all the crap I bought my kid. Now, she wanted a big property, and I'm a trophy husband who works part-time, so he isn't on an allowance. It can work just fine if the person you are with isn't a dick. My wife jokes that part of the reason she wanted to be successful was so that she could marry poor, if that's who she fell in love with, and not have to worry about money, and lucky for me, I was that poor dude. I still remember the first trip she ever took me on. She took me to Vegas, as I'd never been anywhere really, and walked into this store, saw a purse and a wallet that she liked, and dropped $4,000 like it was nothing. Apologies for the story inception, but that just wakes up a memory of mine, oh my god. I went on a Tinder date with this girl years ago, and we were just walking around the city. We went into Tiffany & Co, and she just dropped $3,000 on a wrap bracelet. I was so poor then, I was like, what's going on? These people are real, and they scare me. Anyway, back to the story. I almost frickin' died. That was more than my last 2 vehicle costs combined. But it never made me think that she was a rich cow. I just thought, holy crap, this chick's a bowler. What the hell is she doing with my dumb ass? But too bad for her. I put a ring on it, and like a sucker, she said yes. Though it took me 7 months to save the money for the ring, she said she would have been fine with anything, and I 100% believe she would be, but she's a successful doctor lady, and if I was going to get her a ring, she needed to be able to roll with the other wealthy ladies in a ring-off. It was the only time I have ever spent too much money on something, and I was so proud of myself when I got to give it to her. Hell, I even tried for months to get her to do a prenup to protect her money and assets, and she decided that me pushing for that was enough for her to believe that it wasn't needed. So that frickin' backfired. I don't think we will ever split, but I wanted her to know her money wasn't why I was with her. Good luck and great job kicking the dude to the curb. Our next post is titled, "Am I in trouble for refusing to cooperate with a hospital as ex-emergency contact?" Pacific Northwest, US. 3 years ago, I was in a relationship. He was abusive, did some really deplorable things I found out about later. I made a report, got a restraining order, and haven't spoken to him or anyone that knows him in 3 years. A week ago, he was in an accident. His phone was destroyed / could not be accessed, but he had some information in his wallet. He still had me as his emergency contact. I was not aware that he had added me as his emergency contact at any point. I got a call Monday from an unknown number. It was someone from a hospital. They started telling me my ex was in a serious accident. I immediately cut them off and said, "I don't care who this is, do not contact me again." They called me back and asked if I could help them get in contact with someone else. At least I think that's what they wanted. I didn't let them finish. I cut them off pretty fast and said, "I don't care, I hope he dies, do not contact me again," and hung up again. His sister, as we were friendly but I cut contact after the breakup, messaged me yesterday, only letting me know that their family hired a lawyer to sue me for refusing to take the hospital's call, causing a delay in his treatment. He also had some allergies and medical details they didn't know about, which caused complications and skyrocketed his medical bill. I had no idea about that either. Am I in any kind of trouble here? And now in the comments, I work in healthcare administration. To put it simply, emergency contacts have no legal binding. A person can put anyone as an emergency contact. An emergency contact is not the same as a guardian, next of kin, durable power of attorney, or surrogate decision maker. Only one of those persons can legally make decisions, and even those people can decline to be involved without legal recourse. Emergency contacts are informed of what happened, and then will be used to help contact appropriate next of kin or decision makers. You have no obligation whatsoever to respond. Continue to ignore the calls, and there will be absolutely zero recourse. The hospital should be well versed in following its state laws to find a surrogate decision makers already and does not need you to do so. Not a lawyer, but a doctor. We're unable to reach emergency contacts all the time, and that doesn't delay treatment. In emergency situations, there is assumed consent so that we can treat without the usual informed consent process because we assume the person wants to live and we do what we have to do to keep them alive. Emergency contacts are under no obligation to do anything. Quote, refusing to take the hospital's call, causing a delay in his treatment. I believe whoever told you that is making things up. Your refusing to take the call would not delay treatment. When a patient is unable to make decisions for themselves, the hospital doesn't just leave them untreated and wait to speak to the family. Instead, the staff will render all care and assistance possible using their best medical judgment about what a reasonable person would want done, exactly the same as if the patient's family had requested it. The principle is called implied consent. You have no obligation to be anyone's emergency contact. You have no obligation to assist the hospital with anything. You are not responsible for this person's hospital bills. If the family really has contacted an attorney, that attorney will probably tell them they've got no case. And now onto the update. As of today, all is quiet. Here's a mini update to clarify a few things and provide more information that sadly came my way without my consent. Bumped into an old mutual who decided to fill me in. My ex's sister did not contact me maliciously to scare me. Her message was polite and wanted to give me a heads up on her parents' actions, which she does not condone, in case anything came my way. X was hit by a car while he was out jogging at night. He wasn't wearing reflective clothing and wasn't carrying much on him. Phone, key, wallet. He apparently owns a medical bracelet, but he wasn't wearing it. I don't remember him ever wearing anything on his wrists when we were together either. I believe him not wearing his medical bracelet is the nail on the coffin of any duty or involvement from my part in any way, shape, or form. Turns out he is allergic to one of the agents in the anesthesia process, either the pain relief or the anesthetic itself. I am using allergic because I am not sure what the correct term is here. Allergic, intolerant, prone to side effects. Friend's words were, he didn't respond well to the anesthesia and had an adverse reaction, which complicated things. I will call it allergy for the sake of simplicity. I vaguely remember him mentioning that he's allergic to anesthesia once when he was talking about a knee surgery he had as a child. That has been the extent of my knowledge of his allergy. I did not remember even this information until the friend mentioned the issue. Apparently, when he was intubated and prepared for surgery/some other step, the above allergy caused some additional complications that made his procedure more difficult/aggravated the state of his health/changed the default process and increased the cost exponentially. I have no contact information of his or his family. I don't remember his parents' names, and I never had their numbers. His sister's name is the only one I know because we were friends. Me and her have also never exchanged numbers. Our interactions have always been on Facebook Messenger. His parents believe that I knew the information above about his allergy and refused to share it with the hospital maliciously/refused to share their contact information with the hospital, which I do not have. They are stressed and scared because their son is in the hospital and angry because they believe some of the additional burden could have been avoided had I taken the call. They are mistaken, but I understand you cannot reason even with the most otherwise level-headed of people when their child is fighting for their life. That being said, if they proceed with their lawsuit, which I doubt, I have given my lawyer who handled my RO the heads up, including this update, and we are fully prepared. My ex was intubated and completely out of it when I received the heads up from his sister, so he did not orchestrate this. I don't know if he's awake now. Given the above, I doubt his sister is in violation of the RO since she didn't contact me on his or anyone's behalf, but her own. She gave me information on her parents' intended actions, so I would not be blindsided. I wouldn't want to get her in trouble either way. And now in the comments, his fault for not updating his emergency contact list. A judge will toss it right out. There is no law that you have to provide information or take anyone's phone call. Why didn't he have his family on there? Also, not wearing his medical alert bracelet. My mom has adverse reactions to morphine, not even an allergy. That info was on record at all nearby hospitals, and she wears a bracelet because she doesn't want to go through the hellscape that is her on morphine. My god, you have to be some kind of a suicidal if you have strong allergies and do not use some kind of identification if you can't tell yourself. For example, inebriate, or as in this case, unconscious. This dumb man should be glad to be alive. I hope he at least understands what could have been a more routine presentiment became a headache for the medics. I will not even make a comment about putting someone you have a restraining order against as your goddamn emergency contact. It is okay to be dumb, but this much dumb should be unhealthy or illegal. The whole jogging in the dark, no reflectors, no wallet, keys, no medical bracelet makes me think the same. Another level of WTF-ery would be if he had kept her the emergency contact so she would find out. That would be manipulative. I wonder how much of the ex's behavior was influenced by having parents who view his F-ups as everyone else's. He screwed up and chose to jog camouflaged from cars. He screwed up and chose not to wear his allergy alert jewelry. He screwed up and chose an emergency contact that he can't contact because he tried to screw her up. If this guy fell off a cliff, his parents would sue Isaac Newton because gravity. Our next post is titled, "Am I the asshole for calling my brother an idiot when he believed my nephew is my kid?" I don't even know how this all started, but that seems to be what he thinks now. Only because I, 30 male, was in a relationship with his wife when we were freshmen until our junior year of high school. My brother and I weren't in each other's lives at the time because he was living with our mum a few hours away and I was with my dad, so he never knew about me and Maeve. They started dating years later. It was weird once we all knew, but I told my brother if he loves her, then go for it. At the time, I was already with someone else. Also, I'd moved on from having any feelings for Maeve. Now they're married, and my nephew is 7. Now suddenly, he told the whole family he is staying at his friend's house because he has strong reason to believe my nephew isn't his kid. He only thinks I'm my nephew's father because he looks a lot like me. Then again, I'm an exact copy of my dad, while my brother definitely looks more like Mom, so I don't know why he isn't accusing him too. He won't tell me why he's questioning paternity out of nowhere. Maeve has only said that they had a misunderstanding during an argument, and now this is what's in his head, but won't give us any more details. The last time we talked, he told me he wants a paternity test to prove it. The fact that he believes I'd do something like that alone angered me enough to call him an effing idiot for not understanding how genetics work. We are brothers, so of course there's a chance our kids might look like the other, but it doesn't mean anything. I put a lot of emphasis on how much of an idiot I think he is for that thought alone, so that's why I'm here wondering. My dad told me my brother is clearly going through something. His mind probably isn't clear, so to insult his intelligence like that was going way too far. My brother obviously seems to think I'm an asshole too, hence why I'm asking if that's accurate at all. I don't know why he thinks that, unless you're lying to us all and you did in fact have an affair, but I have no reason to believe as such. I think this guy needs a glass of milk, and I think he needs to chill out. I don't think you're the asshole here. Now in the comments, you have no idea what the details were in their arguments, so I'm thinking that Maeve said something really bad, and now won't admit it. Maeve is kind of the asshole for not clearing the air with the family. Not the asshole, OP, and keep letting your brother know that you would never do anything like that, maybe without calling him an effing idiot. I'm confused. What was Maeve supposed to clear up? He won't tell me why he's questioning paternity out of nowhere. Maeve has only said that they had a misunderstanding during an argument. Now this is what's in his head, but they won't give us any more details. Something huge was said during this argument that set brother off to crazy land. She won't admit what was said, making me think she said something bad if brother is actually questioning whether the son he loved and raised is even his. That's all just speculation though. I think it's a bit much to already start calling Maeve the asshole if something might have happened. It's not speculation that she said something that set him off. She admitted it. It's just that her language downplays it. Or maybe it was a misunderstanding. You don't know, neither do I. That's the whole point of not speculating about something that no one here has a clue about. She could have said something malicious. She could have said something entirely innocent that he misheard or misunderstood. No one here knows. Not the asshole, if the shoe fits. Your brother's the asshole, and he's being intentionally obtuse. Your father is right. There is something going on, and he is using your prior relationship with Maeve as an excuse. Get the test, put this to rest. If the gloves don't fit, you must acquit. And then demand that your brother take an IQ test. If you had to speculate, Maeve said something to the effect of, your brother was better in bed in that argument with the misunderstanding. Or the brother is throwing accusations at her due to protecting his guilt over cheating on her, and Maeve doesn't have anything to tell them because she doesn't know what's going on. What? There's no evidence of either of those situations? We can't just pull crap out of the air? Weird. Yeah, but it's funny when you pull crap out of the air. It's hilarious to me. Not the asshole. He has changed the nature of your relationship with his accusations against you. You will never be as close to him as you once were now. Considering that he believes that you could do something like that, it is not an all or nothing thing. But you won't be best friends from here on. Just take the test and get it over with, and hopefully wait for a very sincere apology. And OP says, I honestly don't think an apology will ever be anywhere close enough to repairing the way he acted with me, like if I'd ever do that to my own brother, let alone leave a kid without a father and let someone else raise them. And now onto the update. Not sure if anyone still cares, but I know that if you wanted an update about this whole thing was a lot crazier than I originally thought. Even if the final judgment said that I wasn't the asshole, I still apologized anyways for insulting him just so that my hands are clean of this. But I still told my brother how hurtful it is that he would doubt my word. Instead of trying to ask me, he outright accused me of having an affair with his wife and fathering a child with her. If he seriously thinks that it was me, then I would do the test. He'd have to pay for it though, but he'd better get used to not having me around because we are done after this. Clearly, the test came back showing I'm not the father, only showing what percentage of DNA we share, given that we are uncle and nephew. Not only that, a day after posting this, I'd reached out to Maeve again demanding to know what this whole thing started from. Pretty much, he suspected she was having an affair because one time he came to her work and she wasn't there. Later on that day, she acted like she did go, but he never told her he stopped by. In reality, she was... Oh god. She had a consult with a lawyer because she decided to get a divorce. But he didn't know about the divorce at the time. My brother still thought she was maybe cheating, and he went through her stuff. Maeve admitted that my brother found her personal journal. She didn't want to tell my family the details about the fight because it was regarding what he read from her journal, and some of the stuff was about her still having feelings for me. He confronted her, so that's how he misinterpreted the whole thing, thinking that it was an affair with me. Even though she said in her journal she never wrote it to sound like we were having an affair, she was only admitting still being in love and feeling guilty about being with him only for my nephew's sake. I heard my brother's side too once he was more calm. He admitted that it got to his head when really nothing in the journal said anything about us. While now I can understand his feelings about what was going on, I still can't forgive him for the way he acted since then. Again, he never asked to hear my side before jumping to accusations. He apologized for it. Maeve did too, for unintentionally dragging me into this because she didn't want anyone to find out about her feelings. It's pretty complicated. I needed a day to unplug just to process everything. As far as I know, my brother still hasn't come back to their house. Maeve is still moving forward with the divorce process, and the whole thing is a mess. My mum keeps trying to push me to talk to my brother because he feels bad about how he treated me, but I already set my condition for doing the paternity test. If he was so sure that I was the kind of brother to betray him that way, then we have no business having a relationship. For now, that's what I'm sticking to. And now in the comments, thanks for the update. Crappy situation for all of you. And OP says, indeed it is. Honestly, I have had so many thoughts and feelings spinning since this. What a mess. Why did you get a paternity test instead of him? That doesn't make sense to me. We both got one. His demand was I take it too. Why? Because he is an idiot. Still not the asshole. You set forth your conditions, he knew what would happen if he pushed for this paternity test, now he has to live with the consequences. This is none of your mother's business. This is just between you and your brother. The dumbest part is bro could have just done the paternity test between himself and the kid, gotten his answer, and salvaged his relationship with OP. Your brother may feel bad now, but only because he has proof that he's an idiot. You set your conditions, he's still charged forth, confident that the kid was yours so he wouldn't have to deal with you, and now that he knows that the kid is his, now he realizes he effed up. You do what you gotta do in regards to your brother. He hurt you deeply with his accusations, that does not go away with apologies. Tell your mom that you need time and that I'm sorry does not begin to heal the deep wound that he gave you. Info. Has she said anything about what made her seek a divorce in the first place? She told me she wanted to divorce because it wasn't fair to have feelings for someone else and not feel anything for him. Given how the brother jumped straight into the nuclear option, I get the feeling there is more than one reason why she's divorcing him. Yeah, she did not fall out of love with the brother for no reason. If this is any indication of his personality and demeanor, there is no wonder she wanted to get out. OP was nothing more than a fantasy in her head to help her cope with her life. Yeah, no. Going to her workplace to check to see if she's there, reading her journal, and those are only the things that we know about, and they're already scary controlling. I can't imagine my husband reading my journals. That's a screwed up thing to do. Anyway guys, that's where I'm going to end today's episode. As always, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to put some Australian flags down in the comments below, because that would be epic. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.